Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and this is another episode of Political Chat. And my special guest needs almost no introduction at all, Mr. American Joe, ladies and gentlemen. American Joe, welcome to my channel, and I am so grateful to have you here.
What's up, buddy? How you doing? I'm getting a heavy
Good.
echo.
I don't know why. I got my earphones on, and I've got my mic on.
Are you hearing an echo? Because I hear everything echoing.
I do not. You could drop out and try coming right back on that link. See if the reconnect would help.
Hmm. Let me try that. I guess. I mean, hello.
Yeah, I don't have an echo at all. I think it's just a connection thing.
Let me try. Let me try to come back in. Let me try to come back in.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that was American Joe. Yes. Thank you. And I appreciate your show. No, just kidding. He'll be right back. Darlene Maggie, welcome. Sandra D. McGibbon, DM, Raymond Kessner. Pete, good to see you, brother. DM, of course, you're always here. And the great Dirtbag is here. And look at that, folks. American Joe is back.
Hey.
We were not abandoned.
I understand. That was on my end. I actually had the live stream playing in a separate browser, so I kept hearing double talk. But I got her
Ladies
fixed.
and gentlemen, for the first time, the glitches were not on my end. I just need that for the record. American Joe, I want to give you all the time you need. Tell the world about you, your plans, your, particular likes and interests, walking on the beach, whatever. And the
you took the words
floor
right out of my
yours.
mouth. It all started when I was, 6 months old. My father left me. That's the path that brought me to you.
Okay, we might want to move the date up just a fuzz. Maybe we'll start in the last.
Okay, 5 years old. Okay, five.
Okay,
5
good.
was horrific year. Horrific year. All right. No, thanks for having me on here, Alex. I really appreciate it. And for those of you out there who don't know me, American Joe, the title of my channel is The American Joe Show. And basically, my channel started out really as a channel about President Trump. And I spent the first few months of my channel really just talking a lot about Trump and a lot about politics in general. Now my channel is really morphed into more of the Second Amendment, protecting the Second Amendment, that is, and what's happening at our southern border. Those are two areas right now that I'm spending most of my time focused on. And I wanted to make a couple of big announcements here on your show that I've not actually made anywhere else. So
wow,
here you go.
Brace yourself, folks.
World exclusive, buddy. World exclusive. I can't see the chat, man. Where's the chat? There's no chat on this place?
Well, the only way you can see that is if you open the StreamYard into its binary window and then move the chat over. Okay.
I got it. Hey, shout out to Deplorable Bobby right there in the chat room. He actually he recently purchased a knife off of our website, AmericanFreedomSupply.com, and did an unboxing of it on his channel. So thank you for everything, Bobby. Thank you for buying that knife and doing the unboxing. Appreciate that. So one of the big announcements I want to make is, and I've been talking about this border run that I'm going to be doing here in January with Douglas Ducote. It has been a lot of speculation as to when we're leaving and how it's all going to unfold. Well, we're not going to release the actual date we're leaving. We're going to keep that under wraps for security reasons because there could be cartel involvement down there, as you know. But we're going to be going on a 20-day trip, 2,000 miles across the southern border. And we are going to be recording the entire event, and we're going to be live streaming most of it to the public through a series of YouTube channels about 40 some YouTube channels we're going to be streaming or simulcasting this stream across at the same time. Now we've got an entire team of military combat veterans that are going to be on this trip, from cameramen, sound editors, security. Everybody involved is a combat veteran. So that's important to us for the actual border trip, to get veterans involved in what we're doing, because, well, we feel like there's a lot of veterans coming back home from conflict that just aren't being utilized for things, and they're kind of just sitting around, and I don't want to see that happen. So we're trying to get as many veterans involved as possible. On October 1st, and here's really the big announcement I wanted to make on your channel tonight, is that on October 1st, we are going to be having a 24-hour live stream that is going to be massive. It's going to go out to 48 different channels, and we've got some pretty heavy hitters already on board. We've got Brandon Tatum, Anthony Brian Logan, The Patriot Hour, Joey Gibson, Patriot Prayer. We've got a bunch of people lined up already. Mike Nificent. I'm just going off the top of my memory right now. And what it's going to be is 24 hours of broadcasting where we're talking about nothing but the southern border from the perspective of all of these different YouTubers and their channels. So each YouTuber is going to come on for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour, and they're going to talk about the southern border and how they feel it impacts our country in a positive, negative way, or the situation down there. So we've got some big sponsors involved in this production already. We've got securityallstar.com is going to be giving away a Glock 48 to one person on this live stream. We're going to have the Gun Owners of America giving away a lifetime membership to the Gun Owners of America. No, not you, Alex. Everybody but me and you. I told them. So.
Wow.
But yeah, this live stream is going to be pretty awesome because it's going to be a 24-hour stream, and it's going to be on everybody's channel that is actually showing up for the live stream. So you're going to see a broadcast across all those channels at the same time. And I don't know that anybody's ever done that before. What's that?
I don't think I've seen that before. I'm not as veteran at this as some people are, but I don't recall seeing anything like that. But how would somebody in a situation like my little bitty channel become a part of something so grand?
Well,
is there an application or a process, or how do
I can definitely write you down and keep your channel in mind for. I don't know if that's going to be possible in the 24-hour broadcast because those slots are filling up super fast. Right. But as far as the border tour in general, there's all kinds of ways any size channel can get involved. And what we'll do when we're down there on that 20-day journey, we're going to offer any channel that wants to broadcast live the opportunity to do that for us. And then any money you make off of ads or super chats, anything off your channel is just yours to keep off of our content. We don't care about that. We just want to get the signal out to as many channels as possible. So definitely we're going to get you involved at that level for sure. And I don't know about the 24-hour period yet because I'm not saying it's completely full, but I know it's very close to full right now. So I'll let you know. Right. If something opens up or somebody, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if I can get involved. It's okay if I can't. I realize there are people that can reach a lot more broad of an audience than I can at this point. So, you know, I'm patiently waiting as my channel grows. Then I'll be more powerful in those type of situations.
But, yeah, and that's the thing I want people to understand. Cool. If somebody isn't able to get involved at this level on the 24-hour show, it's because we're trying to reach as vast an audience as possible with that 24-hour broadcast. We're already up to 1.7 million confirmed on the viewership, and we're trying to get to like 5 or 6 million total. And so we're going to be not just on YouTube, but on Twitter and on Facebook and all kinds of places. Okay, and the date is exactly what again? Well, it's October 1st through October 2nd is the 24-hour live stream. And
Okay.
if people want any information on any of that, they just go to bordercommand.com. That's the website for the border tours, bordercommand.com. And
Okay.
it's getting a lot bigger than I really thought it was going to get, to be honest with you, Alex. I didn't really think it was going to get this big, but it's getting a lot bigger than I thought. And so I
Well,
hope
people
everybody
care.
listening, I hope they tune into the 24-hour broadcast, but more importantly, I hope when it comes time for us to go down to that border, I really hope they tune in then and they share what we're doing down there. Because the whole point, here's the whole point. There's a lot of things going on at that border right now that we're not being told about. There's a lot of things
Absolutely.
that people on both sides of the border do not want you guys to know about. There's a lot of cartel influence along border towns politically.
Right.
They control a lot of the information that's being put out. Why do you think it is that you rarely hear anything in the media about drug busts on the border, and yet the drugs have infiltrated every city across America? It just doesn't make any sense. There's drugs everywhere. There's
Yeah.
millions and millions and millions of pounds of drugs everywhere, and yet they never cover it coming through our border, and it's coming through everywhere. And
Right.
so there's so much political persuasion down there. There's extortion. There's violence. There's all kinds of reasons why. And we're not going to be the
Well,
first
here's
of investigators to go down there, Alex. There's been several teams before us, and the teams that went before us had to pull out because of security concerns and the cartel's involvement. So,
well, there's
I
one
mean,
thing that people aren't aware of about the whole drug industry. I'm aware of it because I was involved to some level when I was active duty. But there are things called bait trucks, and they send a truck that may be full of several thousand pounds of narcotics, and they send it right through a port of entry, and obviously it gets nabbed, and people think, oh, well, that's a huge bust. But those bait trucks usually have a very small percentage of what they're getting ready to move through the border at another location while the distraction is in place on the bait truck. So when they say, oh, well, they busted them coming through the border, those are prearranged. And I think that in time, people will realize there might be some influence from this side of the border on those bait trucks as well, so that they can move much more massive amounts through at one time at a different location.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a small price to pay, really, right? You send a couple $100,000 in product over here and move 50 million worth of product over here. You know,
Exactly.
it's a
That's
cost of doing
exactly
business.
what they do.
Cost of doing business.
Yeah, I mean, if they paid taxes, that would be their loss leader. The same thing a retail store uses on Black Friday. They'll have their one item in there that's, they're taking a $10 loss per product, but they call that a loss leader because it creates a lot more sales in the store by bringing the people in for that one item. So it's the same concept. The drug dealers are not stupid. They know the retail end of marketing, and they realize that sometimes you have to use a loss leader to gain a profit on the other end.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing right now, man. I have to trim back on my schedule a little bit. I used to do a Wednesday show called the Guns and Beard Show, and I had to cut that back because right now with my work schedule and the border trip and putting out my regular video schedule, it's just too much stuff on one plate. So I have to start making some trim backs on what I'm doing, and I have to really start getting laser beam focused because this has become another side gig that's really almost like a full-time job. This border trip is so intensive with logistics and stuff. So,
Well, it's important, and I think it's gonna really move the message. There's a lot of people out here, and they pay attention to this kind of stuff because, I mean, you can't go to the lamestream media to find this stuff out. So you have to depend on the people that are on the ground, like you folks, and getting it out to the public. I feel like that's our job here, and I'm supporting you 100%. I'd love to be in on the trip, but I realize that I have physical limitations that would just make that impossible. So I'm in it in spirit, and I'll be supporting you as much as I can on my channel, whatever it takes, running you live, doing whatever. And I'll even take the bewitching hours if people don't want them. I don't sleep much, so I don't mind doing the ultra late shifts. You can designate me for that. So
You mean when we
I
were
will
going to
give
show
you
the
every
penguins on the glaciers melting? We were going to put that's what was going to be at the 3 o'clock.
yeah.
That's what you want?
Well, I can actually be below that because obviously that's a little more important too. But I'll take whatever slot. But yeah, I'm backing you 100% on this. You guys have my support.
Well, I
I think it's
appreciate
really
that. And
cool.
what I'm so um, we've been getting a lot of pushback on in areas where we thought we were going to get support. And when we first started out this project about a month and 2 months ago, actually about 2 months ago, we started trying to reach out to some different people, organizations that we figured would have a high interest in the truth coming out, whatever that is. But it turns out a lot of people, they're not interested and they're actually questioning why we're going. So that tells me that there's a lot of people interested in us not going to the border as opposed to us going to the border. I think what we're going to discover, and it's all speculation, is that the power and influence of these cartels south of the border runs a lot deeper than we probably imagine they do, all the way up into our
Oh
government.
yeah.
Who knows how far? I don't know. But the war on drugs has been a joke since its inception, and we see our kids, our family members, they're dying all the way across America, man. And drugs is just part of
Right.
the problem. We got an illegal immigration problem that's untenable. We've got slave labor coming across the border in droves. We've got terrorism coming across the border in droves. We've got criminals fleeing other countries coming across the border. It's just so much, you know.
Right. Yeah. It's time to put it in check, and I think that you guys doing this will motivate some people, maybe reluctantly, but I believe that there will be some changes because one of the best medicines is light, and bringing things that are running poorly to the light tends to make people embarrassed and move them towards reparation, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So that's it. That's what I'm involved in right now. And the Second Amendment fight just never stops because these dirty Democrats, they want nothing but to take our weapons from us and disarm us. And I don't know if you've seen some of the newest stuff that people like Beto O'Rourke are talking about, this loser.
Yeah.
They're trying to put pressure on credit card companies. They're actually saying that the credit card companies now have blood on their hands for mass shootings. And so they're trying to pressure credit card companies to stop doing business with people who sell weapons, ammo, those types of things. So dirty politics as usual. Beto and his kind are just kind of authoritarians. They want to control you. And he said that word a lot. We're going to force you to do this. We're going to force you to do that. We're going to do a forced buyback program for your gun. A forced buyback program is confiscation, pal. That's what a forced buyback program is. It's not a buyback program because
Right.
you didn't sell me the damn gun. So if you didn't sell it to me,
Right. That's
you're
yeah.
forcing me to
So
sell
you're
my
gonna
gun to you. You're
yeah.
stealing my stuff is what you're doing.
Right. But no, you are buying back your gun. Think
Yeah,
about
because you got
that,
to pay
because
taxes on
what
it.
happens, right? You're paying your taxes, and they're going to hand you back your taxes in order to take your property. So
Yeah,
you are getting a little bit of your money back that they already stole from you in taxation without representation, and then they're using that money and giving you a tiny little bit of it back, and then taking some of your property that you didn't authorize them to take. So
yeah.
yeah,
This is
the
how it's
whole
going to work.
thing is
Let's say you buy an
funny.
AR-15. Let's say you buy an AR-15 for $1,200. All right. Now I don't know what the taxes on $1,200 is, but it's probably in the neighborhood of like $50 or $60 in just retail tax you're paying right at the point of sale. So
Right.
you're paying like $60 in taxes right there. Then they're going to say, okay, you're going to have to buy it or sell it back to us. We're going to give you $300. So wait a second, you
Right.
already took $50 for the sale. Now you're going to give me back 300, which is really just 250 because you already stole 250 or $50 from me anyway. So now you're giving me
Right.
250 on something I just spent $1,200 on. So I just lost $1,000, and then I'm going to have to pay taxes on that again. These people are
Right.
unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
But the good news is that you will be able to deduct that extra $1,000 on
Oh,
the taxes at the end of the year. That is again the taxation without representation, in a lot of cases double taxation. But I can do entire videos on the illegality of the Federal Reserve Act and the IRS. But the whole thing is it's a criminal empire that's been masterfully created. But
yeah. Let's.
yeah,
I mean,
it's a backdoor stupidity.
my next video is going up tonight, and it's about a guy left a comment on my channel, and he made a good point. And I said I'm going to make a video about that because you made a very, very good point. Okay, every year on average, there are about 98,000 deaths due to alcohol in this country. Of those, around
Right.
10,000, 9,800 and some are alcohol-related deaths in automobiles, basically drunk driving. Okay. So you've got about 9 to 10,000 deaths a year from drunk driving, and another 88,000 and so that are alcohol related, liver disease, and you name it, right? Just diseases related to alcohol consumption.
Right.
So you've got nearly 100,000 deaths a year, and a large portion of those are people who utilize alcohol in a very irresponsible way to go out and get other people killed. Walmart
Well,
sells
then the bottom
alcohol
line is
all day long.
we need to ban the cars. Just ban
Oh,
cars.
no.
Be done with it.
Places like
No?
Walmart. Well, I was saying places like Walmart, they sell alcohol. They got aisles and aisles of alcohol, right? And they've never said we have to do away with all of our alcohol and quit selling alcohol because so many people are dying. They've never said that. They don't care. But when
Okay, I got it. We need to
200
ban
400
Walmart.
Yeah, there you go. You know how many people die from rifles, Alex, every year? Any idea?
It's down in the single digits. It's not very high.
Yeah, it's between 200 and 400 people a year die from rifles. That's the deadly weapon they're trying to get everybody to ban. 200 to 400 a year. 200 to 400. Now, I'm not
Yep.
saying 400 deaths is a small number of people, but it's a small number of people in a group of 300.
Yeah, in the bigger
It's a
picture.
small group of people. And it's certainly not anything that should cause some emotional knee-jerk reaction to try to strip rights away from people. It makes no sense. It's completely politically motivated. And I would love to get on the phone with one of these Walmart execs and have a little talk with them, but they'll never answer the phone. Never happen.
Well, I've said it in other videos that I posted also that Walmart is a communist organization. When Sam Walton died, his kids took an industrial dump on his company and did everything that he said he would never do. And then they went and changed their logo to incorporate a communist star in the middle of their name. And people can look that up. That's not a secret. That's exactly what that star represents. So they are a conglomerate that's trying to go into communism.
I did not know that. That is interesting. I did know that there was a point in the history of Walmart where they only sold American-made products, and now they pretty much sell 99% Chinese products. I do know that, but I was not aware.
Did you realize that Sam Walton, I can tell you the reason why Sam Walton opened Walmart originally, and it was because he was an executive at Kmart, and they were starting to move into imports, and he was feeling like it was going to be a detriment to the development of the company. So he left the executive position he held at Kmart, and he said his goal in life is going to be to close the Kmart stores. So he wanted to open an American-made only place, and that's what Walmart was opened as. And then, he almost closed Kmart by the time he died, but then he did die, and his kids took everything that he created and flipped it over and started using the Communist Manifesto to create an empire in small towns and destroy the retail industry in those small towns. That way they could take control financially and in some cases manipulate elected officials in those small towns to create policy. So the place is a criminal empire, and it'll come out. The information can be found. It's a little difficult to get some of it, but the Communist Star actually was a pretty big story several years ago when they made that change. They almost didn't hide that because by that time they're powerful enough it just doesn't matter.
That's interesting, man. You should do some videos on that. Do some in-depth investigative videos on that stuff, man. You seem to already have a lot of the data locked in.
I have the information, and that's all I ever do is kind of just, I got a lot of problems that restrict me from doing a lot of stuff, but research is not one of them. So I do a lot of research, and I find a lot of information that just would make people's eyes cross. And a lot of the stuff that I find, I just frankly can't do videos about it because people aren't ready yet. I would be the psychotic conspiracy theorist with, a mental disorder, but I find stuff in the CIA archives and things that would just make people, they would just turn the computer off and say, this is ridiculous. So there's some stuff I just
Oh
can't do
man,
yet.
this is the thing, man. Behind every conspiracy theory is truth at some point, and it's like there's some truth behind all of that stuff, man. I've read all the project, not all the projects. I've read a lot of the projects like MK Ultra, and I can't even remember all the projects I read about Vietnam where they were modifying weather and causing it to trench. They were seeding clouds, causing torrential downpour. That's technology they had back in Vietnam, man. Can you imagine the technology
Right.
they have today? You know, I'm not a
Yeah,
conspiracy
it's
theorist either,
pretty
but when I
spooky.
when I see a hurricane that it stops moving and it just spins for a day, and we've never seen that in the natural world occur, then I ask questions. Yeah, why is that hurricane not
Right.
moving? Can somebody explain that to me, please? Can somebody explain using science why a hurricane stops moving and just sits on the spin cycle for 24 hours? And show me when that's ever occurred in the history of nature. I've never seen it. We've never seen a hurricane sit still. So, yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I ask questions. And sometimes when you ask
Yeah.
questions, you're instantly labeled a conspiracy theorist because they know that's the best way to shut you up. They
Well,
started
the
doing
CIA
it
themselves
in the 50s. They
created
started
it.
making conspiracy theories, you know, the boogeyman, right? So they started
Right.
labeling conspiracy theorists these crazy nut jobs who are locked away in a basement with a ham radio, and you can't trust these people because they're crazy, they're lunatics. But
Yeah. Well, the
about these
CIA
programs,
themselves created it.
search out MK Ultra, read about that program, read the declassified documents that exist. It's not somebody making stories up. It's a document the
Well,
government has that you can read. Read about it and say to yourself, this isn't a movie, man. This stuff's actually happening in our government.
yeah. Well, look up the MK Ultra, obviously, but then you got to look up the MK Delta program and then the MK Zeta program. But when you get into the Zeta, that's where uh, spiritually you better be ready for some of that stuff because it's. I'm serious, man.
Oh
It's
man.
really strange stuff they do. But yeah, the actual phrase of conspiracy theorist is a CIA creation, and it was specifically designed to conceal truth. They they knew that things were going to start becoming released because of the release of information acts that were starting to be enforced back in the 50s and the 60s. So they knew these documents were going to have to be laid out. So what they did was they created a keyword or key phrase, conspiracy theory, in order to suppress truth because they can make you into a loon. And even though you're speaking absolute truth, you've already got a title of being a psychotic moron, and they can shut you off that way.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. But here's something I wanted to bring up. I heard today on Guns and Gadgets. I really like that channel. Make sure you guys subscribe. Guns and Gadgets, good channel.
About Colt.
Colt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always been a Colt enthusiast as far as their handguns go. I've always had a little bit of an issue with the M16 design. Their military applications. The M4 was a pretty good accomplishment. The M16 had a lot to be desired, but now they're talking about ending their long gun program for the civilian industry and just sticking to commercial or to military applications.
Yeah.
What is your thought on that?
Well, they've always been kind of the higher end price tag weapon out there. So they've kind of cornered themselves into a hard market because there's so many manufacturers out there now that can produce a very high quality firearm for very little money. I mean, I got a Creed right behind me. That thing is sweet as hell and costs the fraction of a Colt, right? And so
Right.
they're trying to they're trying to reposition themselves because I think they see that their market share is dwindling. I don't think they're doing it because they're kowtowing to anybody in the political realm. I don't think. I think they're doing it because they really want to just focus on military contracts and see and focus more of their attention on that and try to drive that. I mean, face it, you get an Army contract, the Marines, you get all those people on board, man. That is your dude. That's what you do now, right? That's your full-time thing.
Right.
You don't really need.
Well, they started having trouble in 2013. In 2015, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, and at that time, they'd lost the military contract for the M4 and the M16. So apparently, the Chapter 11 program has had plenty of time to run its course. So now, apparently, they want to try to get back into the military products. But like I said, the M16, I don't like it, partly because you can get so much chamber lock. The gas tubing can get overheated. You can get vapor lock, so to speak, like a car. Yeah. But also, if you submerge them, you can't do anything with them until you can shake them out and dry them out. And it's an awful lot to worry about when you're in a situation where you need it most.
Yeah, combat, and sand doesn't treat them too well either. Let me tell you that. You got to constantly clean those suckers out. But I guess that's pretty much any weapon. But I don't know, man. I want to think they're just doing it because they're trying to reposition themselves in the market for longevity. I would assume they're only talking about long guns. They're not talking about anything with handguns or anything like that. So you'll still be able to buy a good old handgun for many, many decades to come, I'm sure, unless the government steps in.
Very expensive one, but a very good one. I've got an old Colt 38 that's from about 1888, I think. It's one of the nicest ones I've got. It's an antique, but still works perfectly. Pretty sure it was 1888. I'd have to double check. But yeah, sticking to the gun topic, though, I wanted to throw this headline past you. This is it's another example to me that Fox News is going by way of the left-leaning liberals. And in the headline, it says Fox News poll, most back gun restrictions after shootings, and Trump ratings are down. That's irrelevant.
Wait. But say it again. Say that headline again.
It says Fox News poll, most back gun restrictions after shootings, and then comma, Trump's ratings down. So they had to throw the tag on the end of it to give the little slash. But the point of the article is that they're saying most.
No, a lie. That's a lie. Listen, this is very simple to explain. These people that do these polls, even Fox News, they sample some magical group of 1,000 people, right? 1,000 people they sample magically becomes the representation of the United States of America. And let me tell you something. I've been voting since I was 18. For 30 years, I've been voting. I've never once been asked to partake in any poll ever. So I don't know who the hell they're asking. But I can go to my channel right now, and I can put a poll up there. Who's in favor of expanded background checks? And that's going to be a solid audience of Fox News viewers, right? Everybody that watches their channel is going to come on there, and you're going to get 4,000 people vote and say, nope, 99%, 98%. Hell no.
Right.
So
it's the keywords they use too.
Lies. It's ridiculous, man. There's no way in hell. Ask your chat room. Who here in the chat room is supportive of an expanded background check? Go ahead and put 1 in the chat room if you support expanded background checks. Put 2 if you're opposed, and just watch. You're not going to have anybody put a 1 in there. It's not going to happen. I don't even know who's in the chat room, but I guarantee you, no one's going to put a 1 because nobody supports expanded background checks that has any sense. We've already got background checks.
Well, what exactly does that mean? Yeah, I was just going to say, we have a background check, and it's pretty good. When you live overseas, they check your Interpols too. So
here's what it means.
I've been through that a couple of times.
This is what it means in their brain. They're trying to make private sales require background checks. Imagine that. Me and you are doing a private party sale. Hey, Joe, I got a pistol. You want it? Yeah, how much? $400. Yeah, come over to my house. Okay, now we got to do a background check. That's not going to happen. Ain't nobody going to do that. And even if you put that law in place, who's going to enforce that law? Ain't nobody going to enforce
Well,
that
just
law.
so you know, it looks like twos all the way up the chat. So
Well, that's what I
that's
told you.
definitely the right answer. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where I see people ask the question. It's always the same response. I mean,
Yeah.
you might get that if you went over to like the TYT network. Well, maybe not even their channel because most people that watch their videos hate them. So maybe go to
Right.
I don't know, Huffington Post channel. You might get 11111. But see, those aren't Fox News viewers. So who are the Fox News viewers that they're saying are 98% on board? Who are they? Who are they?
Yeah, I don't think they have anything to back it up. It's a punchline, it's a headline, it's a clickbait, and I just don't believe that they have the backing behind these things when they put them up there. But here's the thing: with us, we are restricted to YouTube, BitChute, and potentially Twitter. We've got our outlets, but these people have airwaves that can blast into TVs all over the world, and the use of simple antennas. So they don't have to be correct. They can say a bold-faced lie, but as long as it was out there, even if they say, "Oh, sorry," after about 3 or 4 days, it still made it out. And that's the trick. They want it in the people's heads, and then it doesn't matter what happens to it after that. They can go, "Oh, I'm sorry," but who cares? You ask somebody, "Hey, do you remember the apology about that?" "Oh, I don't remember that." "Well, do you remember them saying that all Trump supporters are racist?" "Oh, yeah, well, I remember that because they said that." So yeah, it's a tactic. Everything is an illusion. Everything is created for manipulation, and that's one of my biggest goals is to expose the illusion. That's what I try to do on this channel, because everything that we know is an illusion, even our history. It was created by people who wanted to control the future generations, and they rewrite history just about every year in the schools for that purpose.
But then how do I know I'm even having a conversation with you right now, Alex?
Well, the history will prove that. You'll have to look at it later and look back on the history, and it'll show that it
Maybe
existed.
this is all staged to make me believe.
It
Maybe
could
I'm
be.
strapped into a chair somewhere with a computer strapped to my head.
You are, but I'm not going to tell you that right now because I think your mind isn't ready for that yet.
All right, brother. Well, I got to get rolling, so I wanted to thank you for bringing me on your show, my friend.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate you so much. I love what you do. If you guys want to hear the good word on Sunday nights, right before my show at, what is it, Pacific time? It's
3.
3. So it's 5 o'clock my time or 6 o'clock Eastern. And then right after that, I come up with the Inside Veterans Affairs. But yeah, we enjoy you, Joe. If anybody on my channel is not subscribed to American Joe, you guys need to make it happen, because really good information comes out of there. And keep me in the loop on this border tour. I'll do everything I can from my end. And again, thank you very much for coming.
All right, brother. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys later. I'll be live tomorrow, 6 p.m. on the Patriot Report, and I will be having Mike from the Patriot Hour on as a guest tomorrow. So I'm excited about that show. It's going to be a good show.
Awesome. Yeah, I like Mike. Yeah, he's got a lot of equipment in that room, his studio. I enjoy just looking around at all the stuff. So yeah.
All
right, man. Well,
all right,
you have
guys.
a great night, and I'm going to continue the next part of this all by my lonesome, all by myself. But don't even feel guilty though. It's good. I'm good. Good night.
Good night.
All right, folks, that was American Joe, and that was an absolute honor and a kick to have him on there for, what did we have? Almost 40 minutes. I got an extra 10 minutes with Joe, so that was really cool. He's, as you know, he's probably one of the most busy men in the world. If he turns a corner too quickly, he runs right over himself. So it's just amazing that I got that much time with him, and I enjoyed it immensely. I do have some other information to go over for the next 20 minutes. I wanted to bring up a couple of things, and Let me get my composure here back to where I am. Um, oh, okay. Here, just wanted to bring this up to the folks in my chat, and I'm just kind of curious if anybody else has heard of this woman. I've just started my research, so I just kind of got surprised by it. But it says Senate confirms Kelly Craft as U.S. Ambassador to the UN. First off, I didn't know that there was somebody selected. Second off, I didn't know. I've never heard of this woman, and just throwing the name out there and bringing you bringing you the information is Kelly Craft. So several of us need to do some looking into and see what how she thinks and where she stands. Personally, I think the UN needs to be, if not disbanded, I think it needs to be removed from our soil, and they can play their world domination game in Europe or wherever else they want to play it. But it needs to get out of our country. We need to stop being a country builder and a regime administrator. We need to take care of ourselves, and my opinion has always been that, and I've never changed on it. Um, the other thing, uh, obviously, we were talking a little bit about the border, but the Supreme Court on Wednesday allowed Trump administration to enforce its most ambitious effort yet to unilaterally make it more difficult for migrants from Central America and other parts of the world to seek asylum at the U.S.-Mexico border. It's unilaterally. They throw that in there as a dictator word, or as some people like to say, dictatorial. Um, it's not unilateral. It's law. It's not like a table of bigwigs smoking cigars and drinking their cognac say, "Okay, we're going to take all these people and we ain't going to let them seek asylum." The reality is that when you are fleeing your country because of political discord or anything that could potentially threaten you for your beliefs, either political, religious, or whatever, you can flee your country and you can seek refuge and asylum in any country that is what they call first rated for asylum seekers. Um, and it doesn't mean you can go nation shopping like the liberals like to do with their judges. They go judge shopping and they find the most favorable judge to impose their ridiculous and Orwellian type of laws or restrict the laws that are put into place by the president. You just it's it's all manipulation. Everything is done for manipulation. But the reality is, these folks can go to any country, any first-rated country, to get asylum. They don't have to come to the U.S. We don't need to be the catch-all for every country in the world. We don't need that burden, especially when they come here and the first thing they do is jump on our public assistance. Um, in other countries, they're going to get maybe a little help right at first, but then they're going to have to tighten up the old bootstraps and pull up the jeans and get their ass out to work. Whereas in this country, you have people that will be here for 30 years, make no attempt to get their citizenship, and they won't ever make an attempt to get a job. They're, of course, they're living 1,000 times better than they would in their country, and the food stamps that they would get for potentially a family of four, maybe $500 a month in food stamps, is probably 5 times what they would make in a month. So, and it's probably a lot more than that. So, there's no incentive to get off of the handout. And as long as the handout keeps getting handed out willingly without question, nothing will change. And these loopholes need to be fixed. If you are an asylum seeker, then the process needs to begin immediately. For citizenship, that means you need to study, you need to understand the past, you need to take the test, and you need to swear the oath to the Constitution and to the country and honor the flag that flies above it. These people don't do it. And that's the problem I have. I don't mind immigration. You guys that watch my channel know that my father's an immigrant. Um, he's, I'm first generation citizen, but he immigrated from Canada and originally from Iceland, and his father immigrated from Iceland to Canada. So everywhere that they went with my last name, so to speak, they were immigrants, and they became citizens, did everything that we were supposed to do. And I have three Japanese sisters that my mom and dad adopted in Japan, so they are first generation immigrants, and they are legal citizens, and everything is good to go. So immigration is not the problem, and I love the people from all over the world. I've traveled the world. I have no problem with anybody. What I have a problem with is people who come in here and stomp on our flag and demand us to give them everything they need to survive, and they don't want to do anything to to better themselves. Um, I'm sorry I haven't been paying attention to the chat. I was very deeply involved listening to American Joe. The one thing that's nice about having him on the show is I can take one thing and throw it in the air, and then I could kick back and go have a drink, have some dinner, and come back a few minutes later, and the information is still flying, and that's what I love about him. He can get it out there, and he's good at what he does. So yeah. But anyway, so when I watch the replay of this, which I do to make sure everything goes right, I do read my chat. So if there are questions, comments, or otherwise, then I will be looking at those on my replay. Um, I do see that we got a good crowd tonight, and I appreciate all you guys giving me a hour of your life tonight. But let me see here. Now this, I want to bring this up specifically because you could say, "Hey, I heard that there first." That's right, folks. Disabled Vets Perspective. You heard this here first. And I want you to think about something here with me. General Flynn, uh, he has a ferocious pit bull for an attorney now, and she has been filing for documents for a long time now, and more proof is being shown that those documents are being withheld on purpose. They're being hidden. In some cases, things that have been said to exist on documents were simply just said. They don't actually exist. So, what's going to happen here? I believe soon, real soon, I think we're going to see General Flynn walking away and, just cleaning his hands, because I think this thing's going to be over. I believe he will be completely exonerated and return to regular duty, so to speak. And here's the thing I want you to hear that you might have just heard here first. I have a distinct suspicion that we may see the National Security Advisor position refilled by General Flynn. Now, that might be the conspiracy theorist in me, but I just have that feeling because we finally got Michael Bolton, or not, not Michael Bolton, not the singer. John Bolton is now out as the security advisor, and I don't dislike the man, but I think that with his mentality and with his war status always being, let's squash them and we'll change their administration. We'll do some regime change and, we'll just kill them all. That mentality does not belong as a national security advisor. Um, the best national security advisor can say, nope, let's just sit back and let them kill themselves. But I just have the feeling that we may see General Flynn back in the position of national security advisor. President Trump said he'll make the announcement in a few days after letting Bolton go, and we'll just see, because you guys know as well as I do, there's the thing called the Friday night drop, and every Friday night you can just about set your clock to it. There's going to be some significant information, and it gives them the whole weekend to rewrite it and to put their slant on it and do the things that they have to do to suppress that massive information before the following week. And I kind of have that feeling that this week's Friday night drop will be something to do with General Flynn. And I believe that if they find that everything was designed for entrapment, which it was, we all know it was. You can follow a lot of other YouTube channels and find the same information. It was entrapment. And once it's been proven, I think that General Flynn should be looking at a lawsuit of something in biblical proportions. And, you know, the Department of Justice, that's one. But individually, the people that did what they did to him should be sued into absolute abject poverty because they did this with a smile on their face, trying to destroy a man, a very honorable, well decorated, straight shooting man, in order to push a narrative. And when they when they weren't getting him to cooperate at first, then they start threatening the family, and that's a very common thing with these tyrants. They're when when a prosecution team comes after you, they come after you really hard. If you don't play their game, if you don't take your prosecution like a good little person, then they start threatening your family and talking about your kids were sure cute playing in the schoolyard this morning. That little blue dress that your daughter had on was really nice. And you know what the hell that means. It means that they've got your family under surveillance, and if you don't play the game, they'll just make bad things happen. And you think that's not true? You can look up a whole bunch of court cases and find out. Um, anyway, so that's the news that you may have heard here first. Is I just have a very suspicious feeling that we may see General Flynn back as National Security Advisor. And let's just keep our fingers crossed and maybe hope it will be that. Uh, oh, my international unit's here. Rational Wrong Thing. Good to see you. Welcome. Yes, folks. Disabled Vets Perspective is international, and I love having all you guys with me. It's awesome. Where are we at on time? 7:21. So looks like I got about 9 minutes. And let's see. Okay, I think you guys probably have all seen this by now, but the gentleman that was at the 9/11 memorial, and I got about half things. They were reading the names at the 9/11 memorial, and the man was wearing a black T-shirt that somebody did something. And at the end of the reading, after they read their own family members' names, then he kind of let her have it. That would be Ilham Omar, and it was powerful. It was he really laid it down for her. So if you guys didn't get a chance to see that, C-SPAN has it. Let's see, I'm on The Hill, so The Hill has it on. Looks like one of their first stories. A family member of 9/11 victim calls out Omar and the squad at memorial ceremony. So it's worth listening to. It's a couple minutes and very powerful stuff. So anyway, so let me see what else I got here. Um, oh, apparently an advertisement. We were with American Joe. We were talking about the guns, and this it's getting a little bit absurd. And part of our conversation was talking about these mega conglomerates that are becoming very powerful to the point where they can manipulate elected officials and policy. Um, the Let's see, let me scan up here to the headline. It says corporations step into gun control void. As far as I knew, there was no void, but whatever. That's another clickbait headline. And if these advertisements would stop just showing up, do you need tighter fitting socks? But anyway, so it says a family member of the victim. Okay, that was a good trick. Sent me back to my other article. Some of the nation's largest corporations are stepping into the gun control void. Again, that gun control void doesn't exist. Adopting new restrictions on sales in the absence of action by Congress and the White House. The action's there. The laws are all there, and in these states that have the most strict gun control laws, they also have some of the most prolific gun violence. So they're just stupid. Walmart, the world's largest retailer, said Tuesday it would no longer sell certain types of ammunition and end all handgun sales and ask customers not to carry guns openly in its stores. Kroger, another mega retailer, see, there's that mega, they're mega conglomerates. Another mega retailer quickly followed suit, urging the customers to leave their guns at home before shopping. No. Uh, Gun reformers are quick to emphasize that the private sector policy changes are neither a uh, panacea for the nation's gun violence epidemic nor a substitute for congressional action. But they're hoping they're hoping the headline grabbing reforms will after the nation's wow, that was a screwed up way of saying this. But they're hoping the headline grabbing reforms will alter the national dialogue surrounding gun rights in ways that convince other retailers to follow suit and ultimately compel a reluctant Congress to adopt tougher firearm laws. Now, you see what is happening. I mentioned it with American Joe that they're massive conglomerate corporations that are trying to create policy. This is the dangers about crony capitalism that I've talked about in some of my other videos. The cronyism is capitalism on the backs of other capitalists. They they're willing to step on smaller industry in order to move themselves into a more powerful position. It happens all the time. So anyway, so that it says that about the mega corporations. They are doing this to change policy. Now, it shows that corporate America, like the rest of society, is fed up with the persistent tragic problems, and they're stepping up to the plate to see what kind of difference they can make. And this is all opinion. It's showing the corporate America, like the rest of society is fed up by events that are created to create policy. Um, Obviously, that has to be said carefully because any opportunity that they're to can get, they will drop a channel. And I think you guys know what I mean, but it just goes with the it goes what I've been saying that we've already lost our First Amendment. If we didn't, we wouldn't have to speak in code. So they're trying to do away with the second by using massive conglomerate corporations to create policy. Um, Next quote down here, they're changing the political conversation and changing public perception of what can be done and what should be done. You know, sometimes all I have to do is just read one more sentence, and the things that I spend 2 or 3 minutes explaining gets said in one sentence. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're using massive corporations to create policy change and to sway public opinion. That sounds a lot like politics. Capitalists need to stay out of politics unless they're deciding who they want to vote for based on their redacting regulations or reducing taxes. That should be the only thing that capitalists have to do with anything. But lobbyists are another issue, and capitalists use lobbyists as a tool for manipulation of their elected officials as well. And so, let's see. Midway announced today they will never quit selling ammo. Good. Um, it's the. I think that what you're going to find is that these corporations are foreign owned or foreign controlled, and you probably can make a reference back to one of my shows about who really owns America. And I think you'd find out that these corporations or conglomerates that are using their power to manipulate the public opinion and make conversation in politicians, I think you'll find that these are the foreign-owned companies, and they're probably, possibly, this is an opinion, but possibly backed by the UN for this purpose. Um, it sounds far-fetched, but it's not that far-fetched. But anyway, so I am at 7:29, and I appreciate you guys sticking around. I did come in 30 minutes late today, and I had to do that because American Joe had needed some time to get home from work. But I want to take a minute. I want to thank all my mods. You guys do an incredible job keeping my chat straight and putting up my links. I'm always grateful. To the folks that have come to visit me tonight and to hang out with me and American Joe in the first half of the show. Awesome to have you here. I will be back here again on Sunday night with Belinda on another episode of Inside Veterans Affairs. Um, we're probably going to at least touch base on the legal medical marijuana. Douglas Ducote put out a good video today talking about medical marijuana. If you haven't looked at that yet, you might want to check that out. That's a good video. But Donna, thank you for posting my PayPal. Yes, folks, if you want to help my channel grow, I'm eternally grateful. I never ask for money, but I'm always grateful when somebody gives it. Um, Anything that does come to me, I don't do anything with it except for put it directly back into equipment and broadband and boosters or whatever's needed so that I can make this a better presentation and uh, maybe correct some of the glitches that happen because of the broadband that I use, that kind of thing. So anyway, that's what I've got for y'all tonight, and I appreciate you stopping by. And until next time, y'all, stay in the fight.